Live from Washington, D.C., it's the Pay Dirt Football Show.
Are you trying to give me the double talk?
You talk too much.
And now, sit back and listen to 2 hours of biased, brainless blithering sure to drop your sports IQ by at least 20 points.
7 years of college down the drain.
Pay Dirt is on the air.
All right, everybody, welcome to the PAFL edition of the Pay Dirt Football Show. And, we've got some movement taking place in the PAFL. Of course, the PSAFL is in its mid-season swing right now. And Calvin is going to take over here, and he is going to start talking to you all about all the happenings that's happening now, or getting ready to happen. So, anyway, we're going to start sharing screen with him, and he's going to tell you all about it. Okay, go ahead.
All righty. Good evening, everybody, and I want to welcome Joe as well.
Hello, Calvin.
How's it going?
Better than it's been for the last few weeks. Been dealing with either pneumonia or COVID. I'm not 100% sure which. So,
yeah, doesn't sound fun.
no.
Glad you're feeling better. So for those listening here, we're going to be. This might be a shorter show, but we're going to focus strictly on free agent bidding. And just try to be as succinct as we can and see how this flows. So if you can see my screen, hopefully you'll see I'm on Strat Draft. I'm logged in as Chicago right now. And on this page, you will always see all available players for bidding. Now, I had hoped to have these players live for while we're talking here, but I'm on Central Time and I'm off by an hour. But all of these players now, I moved them up a bit. They're starting today in about 36 more minutes. So 7:45 Central, 8:45 Eastern, or wherever you are. And on a typical batch, they will be alive for 24 hours. Or if you want me to be precise, it's 23 hours and 55 minutes. That's a Strat Draft setting. It's the maximum I can do. But if you look at all of these players, their bid time does not end until Friday, 7:12. Again, I'm going to speak Central Time, 7:15. The good thing about Strat Draft, wherever you are, it adjusts the time automatically. But I had some questions from people who had never used this. I find it to be very straightforward, but to give them a little more time, that's why I'm opening the draft. Just the start of the draft, I pushed it back about 12 hours. So it gives people 12 more hours to kind of poke around and see it without being caught diving into this, basically 1 day bidding process. So here's what I would do if I was y'all, and I put this in the email. First thing I would do, I would click on draft views. I would click on my draft, and I would check this number at the top and make sure it's accurate. I mean, I did my best to put them all in, but at the end of the day, it's up to y'all to double check them for errors. If an error has occurred after bidding starts, it's kind of a pain in the backside to correct it because I don't know what your outstanding bids are, things like that. The other thing that I recommend, this screen is very, very important because once bidding starts, the available team funds are accurate. They reflect how much money you have minus any players you've already signed, which would be down here at the bottom where it says other players on Chicago down here. That's where any free agents you will have successfully signed will appear. And up here where it says current outstanding bids, it'll show you what players you're currently the high bid on as well as what the bid is. So what we like about Strat Draft, it does all the math for us. It takes your available funds minus players that you've signed and outstanding bids. It makes it very easy on people running the draft.
It does, yes.
And that's the goal here, to make things easy. Now, if we were live on the draft and I'm back on the main screen, every one of these players would have a little button beside them that would say bid. So if I wanted to bid on Matthew Adams, it would be as easy as clicking that button. Up will pop a screen. It'll tell you the minimum bid, which is 713,000 over here. So you could start the bid on Matthew Adams with 713,000, and it's kind of foolproof. You put in the bid, and it says, "Are you sure you want to bid?" And you click the button. So I could tease my friend Mr. Dufree, who is on vacation, to make sure he reads what he clicks twice.
So this opens up for bidding in about a half hour, right? Am I correct?
Yes,
Okay.
my goal then was to move it up till
Right.
parallel with the show, but I got confused. I had 8 o'clock on the brain, and I forgot to make it 7 o'clock Central.
Gotcha.
Then people would see what I'm talking about. They would see all these players. You click the bid, and it would be very straightforward. Again, the screens I just went to does all the math for you, and it's really that simple.
So have we sent out any emails, mass email to the league about to remind everyone today that this is starting tonight?
Yes, that
Okay.
went out about an hour ago.
Oh, great. Okay.
So we should be good there. Now, we have ways that you can get in trouble, and this leads to a question. I got a question that says, "Hey, why in the future would you consider sending out a warning to any team that's not in compliance with roster rules?" You know, we had again 3 or 4 teams that had whatever, too many quarterbacks, too many kickers, you name it. And I said, I understand. I do understand the question, but if I do that, I'm running 28 teams. We used to do it this way a few years ago. I'm sure Jeff realized the same thing. When you have that rule, here's what would happen. Calvin, can you tell me if I'm in compliance? So I run all the teams. I do all the work. People can sit there, send me an email. They don't have to check a thing.
And you don't make any money either.
No, this is a free job. You know,
Right.
it's not a big paying job. So I'm big on the last few years, personal responsibility. You can tell I send lots of emails. I must have sent people already 6 emails that said, read these 2 articles on free agent bidding. Read the rules on free agent bidding. Read the rules on our requirements.
Yeah.
We've really made them, in my opinion, and I'll buzz through them in a minute here, crystal clear. So here's how you can get in trouble. And this is what I referred to in the email I just sent. Signing players and free agents. Bidding. This is what you need to read. You will be awarded any player where you are the high bidder, except you can't sign another quarterback that puts you over 800 pass attempts. You can't sign a quarterback if you already have 3 on your roster, active roster. You can't sign a quarterback if you have 4 already on your total roster with taxi squad. If it's a running back, can't sign a running back that puts you over 540, and etc. These are very bulletproof, in my opinion. It doesn't read very well, but it eliminates all of the ambiguity we used to have in our rules. We've got this in the PSAFL. So I figure if you don't take 2 minutes to read what's right on your screen, and you then sign a quarterback that puts you over 800 attempts, and you blow 10 million of your bidding dollars and say, "Oh, I goofed, give me my money back." Well, I'm not giving you your money back. You're not winning the bid on the quarterback, and you're being fined a 5th round pick. And if that seems harsh, I mean, it is what it is. It's right here, Len. It's black and white.
Yeah.
And,
right.
you know, I like to feel I'm sympathetic, but on certain things here, if you can't read 11 bullets, this is the only way you can get in trouble in free agent bidding. Strat monitors the money. Strat is awesome about that. You know, Strat does not track, though, that you've only got 2 roster spots and you've got 6 bids out. Strat does not track that, nor do I, to be honest. But if you get to player number 3 and you're trying to sign a player, and this is the last one, I think the next to the last one, if you already have 52 active players and you got a winning bid, sorry, the rules are right there.
Yes.
So maybe I'm getting a little bit ornery, but this is the only way you can get trouble in free agent bidding. So with that, I don't know, we can have Joe maybe interject some. It's been a monologue so far, but I really wanted to make this kind of really succinct because I've been told, well, some people don't like to listen to a 30-minute show. So, okay, here you got about 5 minutes of your time. You listen to the show or
Right.
you read those articles, and you shouldn't have any issues. And I'm available, pretty available this week, depending on work doesn't blow up, but I've given 12 extra hours of start time on the front for people to say, hey, I'm a little bit confused about how this works. Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah. Oh no, I'm going to say this. As I've had a transformation. It used to be where I would be very, why are we penalizing people? Boy, you're taking away from their teams. If somebody takes over this team, it's been penalized. You know what? So what? it's kind of like, I don't know how everybody else approaches it, but like I have 8 players to get. I already know what positions they are going to be because I've got them written down. And I need a running back, a tight end, wide receiver, blah blah blah, and I have them all down there. And so I know what positions I need, and I know how much money I got. And then I went ahead and I've come up with the money. I don't care, to me personally, if you need to get a wide receiver and you've drafted, you bid on 2 linebackers, and then there's this beautiful wide receiver, linebacker still sitting there, and you go, boy, I should take him. Don't, get the wide receiver you need in order to be in compliance. And if you're not willing to do that, then you're going to lose that linebacker you just bid on. Plus, you're going to end up losing a 5th round pick. I don't know how much simpler that can be. I don't know. I'm a simple mind. And after having run a draft now and seeing what people have done, I'm like,
You become less sympathetic over time. When
That's
you're
true.
a commissioner, you start out well and you want to help, but there's a fine line between help and a crutch.
Well,
And-
if you get so busy with that, and you get busy with life, you got a job, you might have other hobbies that you're doing, and you just don't have time to take care of everybody's team for them, and you can't make
Exactly.
exceptions because then you're playing favorites, so you have to stay by the book, stay with your guns, and just move forward with it. And the only thing you can do is try to be as try to sound like you're being a nice guy, even when you really can't be. You try to make them understand, look, this is just the way it's got to be. It's not that I hate you, but if I do this for you, then everybody's going to want me to do it, and I don't have time.
Exactly.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, and again, this is my cynical view. Maybe it's been 2 weeks or 3 weeks being sick that's kind of fed into it, but I don't think it's the majority. But there's that person or two who wants to stretch the rubber band as tight as they can, and you've got, just like my dog wants to sit there and grab bowls off the table. Sometimes you got to yell at the dog, and the dog's got to sleek up. It's like you've got to have a penalty for that, and but otherwise, they're never going to stop trying to stretch the rubber band. That's just as simple as it is. I know most of them are done by total mistake and by total error, and with good nature and with fairness for all. But
And I believe that, but also I believe that you got to do your own job, and no one can do it better than you. You're asking someone else to do the job that they're not as familiar with as you should be with your own team. So, do your job, because you're not going to be happy when someone else doesn't do something that is acceptable to you. You're just going to blame them. One time I had someone cover the draft for me, and they were doing me a big favor, and they drafted me a bum running back, and I couldn't be mad at them. I should have been doing that myself.
So one other point I want to interject. I almost forgot. There's one other way you can get in trouble. So I'm back on my screen, Chicago. You see, I've got 3.9 million and change. As I put in an email example, I can bid that full amount on one player if I want. So hypothetically, say Chicago needs one player. So I can blow all of my funds on that one player, not a problem. Say Chicago needs 2 players. I can still blow my whole amount on one player in free agent bidding, and I'm done. I will have signed one player with bidding. I still have one roster spot left, and that gets filled at the very, very end of free agent bidding. This is new this year. We're changing that player's salary to what it is in the game. So even though I bid, say, 3.9 million on a player X, if the game has him at 3 million, his salary gets changed to 3 million. And now I get to put in a claim for another free agent right after the bidding, as long as his salary is less than 948,000, I'm cool.
Okay, quick question.
But if I'll let you in a minute.
Okay.
But if I sign a player for 39.48 and his actual salary in the game is 39.48, there's no sympathy for me, because I still need to sign another player and I don't have the cap space available to do that. So you still have to do some math on your own. You have to be able to fill your roster with 350K players based on actual salary in the game. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yep. So just to clarify that for everybody else, because I'm sure they're going to be asking, is let's say you spent that 39.48 on the one player, but you need 4. Okay.
Yes.
So
yes.
It goes back to the original salary, but it doesn't do that till after the bidding is over. Correct?
Yes.
All right. So in other words, they can't do that and expect it to just go to the what the game says their salary was right away and then bid again.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. That this is where this has changed, and we did this in the PSAFL. This makes it easier on me to track money, and not only that, this now gives you another element of strategy.
Yeah.
Say I want that player for 39.48. Is that worth me then waiting till the dead end after 400 players have been signed, or how many we sign, and then I get the scraps at the end that nobody bid on?
Yeah, you get
That's the risk. That's the risk reward.
Right.
That everybody can make their own decision, right, wrong, or indifferent. That's a great question.
Yeah, and I found out during that time you were gone that there had been a change, because it used to be you could only grab 350K players after the draft.
Yes.
I somewhere I must have missed the memo where you can draft players other than that, and we could have a discussion of whether or not that's a good thing or bad thing. Because one thing I do like about the 350K rule is that it forces you to budget on the front end, and if you get a on the back end, if you need a replacement, you're going to get a bump, But I mean, there's some decent talent out there,
and that's true. I mean, I think we changed that about a year ago. It is a discussion point. I mean, on the one hand, you can only sign 350, and I get that. Jeff, former commissioner, was big on people not picking up players from the heap to kind of help them. Okay, so that was the 350 rule. Get all your players up at front, and then with injury, if you have a high injury team, well, then you're going to be stuck with these 350 scrubs. Perfectly valid reason. Not a problem. My take on it is, well, yeah, we can let them claim anybody, but there is a little rub with that. We add salary. So for example, if I want to pick up a player and I have, like I'm Chicago, say I'm strapped, say I only have 300,000 left. Well, first of all, I can't pick up a player. I don't have enough money to pick up a player, because any player that you cut, assuming they're eligible to be cut, that you're still pay that salary. Like again, if I sign Michael Adams for 713, the guy here on the top, and decide I want to cut him, which is kind of a newfangled thing as well. We can cut these signed free agents. You just can't trade them. I'm still paying him $713,000. So if I cut Michael Adams and pick up the guy below him, we'll just say Allegretti. Allegretti's salary gets changed to 1.595. So you better have money to do that. That's probably another thing that you aren't aware of, Joe. It's kind of in the rules, but anytime you pick him up, that was kind of the offset to the 350.
And let me say up front, for anybody who didn't get the player they wanted the week they wanted them, I wasn't about to touch that while you were gone. So,
and that I told people, I mean, there was only 2, and it's okay. Everything worked out. It's a lot. I appreciate you stepping in, because there's some little things that go on, from player claims to loading coaches. At least trading was done. There's all these little things that you kind of have to do, and people were fine.
How did the new things? Do they make it easier for you? The links there to get the files and get the coach files and all that stuff.
Once I got the hang of it, yes.
Okay. I think
the very first time changes like, what is this? And then I'm like, okay, now I know how to do it.
Yeah. I think it puts everything right out there for everyone to see. The only thing we have to remember about those things is, of course, that's the free account. So once it gets enough up there, it will shut us down unless we delete them. Once we don't need them anymore, we just delete them out.
Yeah, I had maybe I was up to, so like said, get reported X file. So I'm like, I clicked that. That don't do anything. Then I'm like, oh, the links are over here, dummy.
Yeah.
So once I figured that, yeah, it's smooth as can
And
be.
they're also all in that email that me and you have access to. You can go there and also get them.
Yes.
But it's easier to just go online and do it.
Yes.
And in the future, if Calvin's gone, I'll do what I did this last time, which is basically I'll email it out to you, give it to you, Len, and let you load it onto the website.
Yeah, you can go ahead and email it to the league, but at the same time, send me one personally so that I can post it up there too, just in case I miss the league email, because work has me swamped right now, and I am just, it's killing me. I need to cut back on stuff. So.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, I'm fortunate right now that work isn't an issue. But if work ever became an issue, then I'd have to reevaluate.
Right.
Running 2 leagues is
Yeah, I know.
twice the burden.
Yes, it is. You get no break. It's year round.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to look at something here. It might be interesting. Where I don't think maybe y'all can see this. This kind of the big players coming up. These are the budgets. So I'm running Tennessee. Tennessee is a dumpster fire. It's really bad. And Jeff had did this, and one of Jeff's commendable traits that I noticed over the years was he would dive in and switch teams and run them well for a couple years. Like he started with Green Bay. He went to Cleveland, I think, next. And so he took the weaker teams and would spruce them up. And Tennessee is horrible. I'm not even looking for an owner. It's the last thing I want to do now is I'm going to run them for like a year and get them started. But I'm going to be very hesitant on giving them to any owner, because the owner I don't want to get in a year from now, somebody says, hey, I want to win now, and they're going to trash this first year of rebuilding. Right. So, this might be 2 years, but I want to get them to where they're solid footing and not somebody like, oh, I want to come in and win now, kind of like the Tennessee guy right before. So they've got a ton of money. It's going to be fun because I get to go up against Rudy. Rudy's right here. Rudy's got 60 million. Tennessee's got 60 million. A bunch with, Andy's 30, Brendan's 30, John's 45. There's some serious money.
Yeah, I thought I had a lot, but wow. Yeah.
I mean, it just depends on how it goes. 38, though, is a lot. I mean, compared to Chicago. I mean, Joe only has 3. So hopefully Joe leads less than 10 players. I think he said 8, so you'll barely fit with 8, almost on the 350.
I've got my list of players, and if they come in exactly the way I have it, I'll have 8. 8 left.
$8 left, or 8,000, I guess.
8,000, yeah, 8,000 left. I mean,
And Doug's got less, 2 million.
But I think he's at like 51, 50. So yeah.
And I'm similar. I got 3.9 million, but I need like 12. So I'm very much shopping 350. But these are the items that I really wanted to cover and hit on. Free agent bidding. And if you have a question, ask. And I gave you 12 extra hours. So just because the timer is about to start here in another 14 minutes. Yeah. It's not going to expire in one day. It's going to expire based on the original time, which 7 o'clock Central. One thing I didn't mention is what happens. So for those that are totally new to this, what happens to this? Let me get to the main page here on this. What happens to this mass people? There's about 300 on this list. What happens to Mr. Adams if he gets no bid and 7:12? Friday occurs at 7:15 Central. Well, he will disappear from this list for maybe 15 to 30 minutes, but he will get reloaded a second time. So Mr. Adams at the top will get his second shot. And if he doesn't get bid on day 2, he will come back one more time. And if he doesn't get bid on day 3, he falls totally out. And I go to the next batch of players. So the rhythm is here. Every player gets loaded a minimum of 3 times. After 3 times, seeing that this does not contain all of our free agents, I'm scrolling, making people dizzy. After the next batch will contain players with salaries from 500,000. I don't know if I can go all the way down, but if I can catch them all, but it's going to be, we'll say that we catch them all in the second batch. That may not happen, but it'll catch most of them. Then it's the same story. Anybody in that next batch has 3 attempts, and if they go 3 different rounds with not getting a bid, then they fall off totally. Then what happens? Some of these players that have struck out 3 times, I can take requests and they can come alive again for another time, kind of by request at the end. And then, this process should last about a couple weeks. Could be as fast as 2 weeks, depending on bidding, may go 3 weeks. It's hard to tell. Depends on how people bid.
Right.
But that's kind of the rhythm of players' lives being in auction. I know some have talked about, wow, this is tough. How do I prepare for this auction, even with these 300? I mean, you've only given me a couple days to scout, and I empathize with that. But the good news is, with bidding, you can kind of see what other people are bidding on. And I know Joe doesn't like this, but I get it. I get it too. Other people have done some research, so you can kind of look at who's drawing bids, and you can say, oh, maybe there's something here, or maybe there's nothing here, or maybe, you got your 1 or 2 guys. I know it's hard, but even if we had a draft instead of an auction, it would be just as hard. You'd have to sift all of these and figure out, man, who am I going to draft? But more than likely, the heavy hitters, those people with 30 million and up, are going to dominate the early days. They've just got a ton of money to throw at it, and it might be hard to sneak somebody through. You might be successful. I keep picking on Adams. He might be a stud here. Somebody might like his special team too, and you might be able to sneak them through at a minimum bid, and nobody cares because they're going after the Jason Kelce's and such. I guess you saw that, or maybe you didn't, Lynn, but one of the late surprise cuts was Mr. Kelce down here, Mr. 10.
Oh,
Where
there he
is he? Do you see him?
No, I
Am
don't.
missing him?
I didn't see him.
Where is he?
I don't
He's
see-
supposed to be here. How did he get missed? Did I load the wrong file? I was playing. Mr. Jason Kelce's supposed to be here, $6.9 million man. So I'll go pick. I have a feeling what I did is I had him in a file and I was running a test with him solo. So I accidentally, I think, loaded the wrong file. I loaded the file without him. But that'll be corrected. In fact, yeah, that's easily corrected.
I want to throw this little word of warning out to because it's not going to affect me because I kind of already took care of it for my team. But in case you haven't noticed, this last year there was with the way the kick returner rules are, there is a very big deficit this year on kick returners. And most of the decent kick returners happen to be at 350K people. But there are some kick returners that are higher because they play other positions. You may think, well, I'll just wait until the 350K people come up. Just letting you know, the guys, Tennessee and, and some of these other teams have got a lot of money, they're going to get the better kick returners and stuff. So you might not want to ignore them early on, even though they may not be the best value necessarily of all the players that are out there, but you may want to do it ahead of time because There will be team. I mean, and mind you, I found out last year you can survive without a good kick return, but it sucks because you'll fumble. You'll things. It will not be fun.
Okay, so I'm doing some. I think I know how he got deleted. When I wiped out everybody, because he was a manual. What happened is first time I loaded this, he was in there and I did a testing and I added him and then I blew everything out. But on the file that I loaded, I removed him. Must be H or P. Sorry. I'm trying to manually add him here. That's the danger of doing things on the fly. Well, I'll fix this. Jason Kelsey will be in the list.
Okay.
Good thing that we talked about this. I'll have to import him when the show's done and get him live.
Yep, that's fine. I can go ahead and stop this now so you can do that. We only have 2 minutes left anyway. So anyway, that's the show for tonight, isn't it? Anything else that we need to cover before we head out of here?
No, sir.
Okay. I'll get this thing uploaded for everyone, and I need to go look at this free agency list as well. All right, guys.
Got some work to do. Have a good day.
Yep. See y'all next
Take care.
time.